And we are back. Welcome back to my Europa League and Europa Conference League predictions series after another week of enthralling action in the Champions League. Good morning, Arsenal fans. Let me know how you're feeling after last night and also tell me why you're watching a Europa video. I thought you didn't care about Thursday night football anymore. It is now, of course, time to return to the Europa League and Europa Conference League for 15 ties taking place this evening to determine who will make it into the round of 16. And yeah, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video. And if you're new around here, please do consider subscribing as well. We do this every single week. We've got Premier League predictions coming for you tomorrow. And we've got Carabao Cup final predictions coming for you on Saturday morning as well. So without any further ado, let's get into all of the ties. Firstly, with the Europa League. And we start off with Freiburg taking on Lens with the first of the four early kickoffs taking place in the Europa League today. It was 0-0 in the reverse fixture. I can see it being a very tight affair again this evening. Both of these sides backed up their draw with each other with a draw domestically at the weekend. So still not really a lot to split them. I'm not going to split them again tonight. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And in terms of extra time and penalties, I'm going to always tend to lean in favour of the home side. So I'm going to say 1-1 on 90 minutes, Freiburg progressing beyond added time. Next up, it is Karabag taking on Braga in one of the biggest results of last week. Karabag winning 4-2 away from home, something I did not predict in the slightest. So I have to look at it now and say respect to Karabag. They have proved themselves capable. And I think with that 2-goal margin going into this game, I think it is too much for Braga to come back from. They are obviously going to go for it, which will then leave them vulnerable to even more goals from Karabag. So I am going to go for a 3-1 win to Karabag in that one. Next up, it is my beloved Rennes taking on AC Milan. And it's too much for Rennes. It really is. AC Milan, to be fair, did lose 4-2 to Monza at the weekend, which is an incredible result from Monza more than it is from AC Milan. Rennes did get a win back at home, but I think a 3-goal deficit is just too far. I definitely think Rennes can win this game on the night, but it's not going to be enough to see them through. And to be honest, I think given the job they've got to do, I think, again, they're going to probably overdo it, leave themselves vulnerable at the other end as well. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I think it could be an entertaining one. But ultimately, it will be AC Milan that progress to the next round. Next up, it is Toulouse taking on Benfica. An interestingly tough game the other way round. And Toulouse definitely have a chance of progressing tonight. They did win away at Monaco at the weekend as well. So great result for them at the weekend. Leaves this tie in a little bit more doubt, but I still think on paper Benfica are going to be the stronger side. They're playing some good football. They hit their opposition for 6 at the weekend as well. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Benfica. That might be a little bit unfair on Toulouse because, like I say, I do think they're capable of producing the result tonight. I just think it is going to be Benfica that progress. The third French side at home in a row in the first of our evening games sees Marseille taking on Shakhtar Donetsk. 2-2 in the reverse fixture. And now back at home, I would expect Marseille to finish the job. I can see it being another tough game, a really tight one. Shakhtar, we all know what they're capable of on their day, and they're always capable of producing good results, especially away in the away fixtures, should I say. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Marseille. I think that's just about fair. Ultimately, with Marseille progressing. Next up, we have a fixture that I got absolutely spot on last week. Roma and Feyenoord. I went for a 1-1 draw. That is exactly what it was. Now, back at home, Roma, I think, should have to be considered the favourites. Feyenoord with another win at the weekend, but obviously Roma as well, picking up the win at the weekend. I do expect Roma to win this at home. They are a very strong side at home. They're playing some very good football under Daniele De Rossi, and I would expect them to come out on top. I'm going to go for 2-0. Don't get me wrong, Feyenoord always capable of scoring a goal. I just don't see it happening tonight for some reason. I think it's going to be Roma that come out on top 2-0 winners. That brings us to Sparta Prague taking on Galatasaray, one of the really entertaining games from last week. It was a 3-2 win to Galatasaray at home, which definitely gives Sparta Prague a chance of progressing. And unfortunately, this is a case where it's a shame away goals don't exist anymore because a 1 or 2 Sparta Prague lead would be enough to see them progress. So unfortunately, that's just not how it works anymore. So Sparta Prague are going to have to score 2 to stop this game going to extra time regardless. I also think Galatasaray are obviously still going to be free-flowing and attacking like they always are. And actually, I'm going to predict the exact same scoreline as it was in the reverse fixture. And I'm going to go to 3-2 to Galatasaray, meaning it'll be 6-4 on aggregate overall. Final game of the Europa League then sees Sporting Lisbon taking on Young Boys. It was a pretty comfortable win for Sporting in the reverse fixture, as you can see there. 3-1 to Sporting in the reverse fixture. I am just going to go for a 2-0 win for Sporting in this one. They're playing good stuff. Young Boys, good team on their day. But I just think Sporting Lisbon are a little bit too strong for them. That rounds off all of the Europa League predictions. Have one last final look at them before they disappear as we then make our way over to the Europa Conference League for the remaining fixtures. Now, you will notice that I have included yesterday's prediction on the board there with Ghent and Maccabi Haifa 1-1. And of course, there is the proof that I did do that prediction. I said it was going to be 1-1 for Ghent and Maccabi Haifa last night. And that is exactly what it was. So well done for me for getting the first prediction of the week correct. But we obviously are then going to ignore that and move straight on down to Bodo Glimt versus Ajax, where I have to make a big apology to Bodo Glimt because, as it was perfectly pointed out in the comments section in last week's video, I said this wouldn't be a problem for Ajax. It was 2-2. And now Bodo Glimt are at home. So, very much advantage Bodo Glimt. I mean, what are you going to do? You're playing against two sides. Obviously, they're going to have a chance. But I have to be a man that sticks to my guns. I have to believe that it was going to be no problem for Ajax. And I have to believe it's still not going to be a problem for Ajax. So, I'm going to go for 2-1. I still think Ajax are going to win. I still back the fact that Ajax should win. I know they didn't play well at the weekend either, so I'm more than happy to sit here with egg on my face when Bodo Glimt progress. But I said Ajax were going to go through comfortably, and I'm still going to go for Ajax to go through just a little less comfortably. That then brings us to Dinamo Zagreb and Real Betis, where this time I went for the Real Betis win, but I said based on what I'd seen from them so far in Europe, if they're not up for it, Dinamo Zagreb would turn them over. And that's exactly what happened. Dinamo Zagreb did turn Real Betis over. And it just looks like Betis aren't really interested. And to be fair, they're obviously playing relatively well in La Liga. They're going to be pushing for European places for next season anyway. So maybe they just don't care about the Europa Conference League. And I just think that means that Dinamo Zagreb will then inevitably go on to win this tie overall tonight. I'm going to go for 2-1. I still think Betis can score. They obviously have very good players on their day. But Zagreb deserve their spot in the next round. And I'm going to have them going on and getting it. The final of the early kickoffs tonight in Ludogorets taking on Servette. And, I was so close. What did I say? I said this game had 0-0 written all over it, but I hate going for 0-0s. And lo and behold, once again, whenever I say it, it ends up being 0-0. Tonight, though, I still think there's going to be a goal. Don't get me wrong. This could very easily be 0-0 all the way through to penalties once again. However, I'm going to go for 1-0 to Ludogorets. I just think there has to be a goal. I refuse to believe a tie that goes on for 2 whole legs and extra time goes all the way to penalties without someone scoring at some point. We will see. I'm going for Ludogorets. All 3 results obviously available in this one, but we shall see. That then brings us on to Frankfurt and Union Saint-Gilloise. 2-2 in the reverse fixture, a very entertaining game. Off the back of this, both sides then went on and drew their respective games afterwards, I believe. I think actually maybe Union Saint-Gilloise did win. Frankfurt were the side that drew with Freiburg. If you remember at the start of this video, we talked about Freiburg and Lens both drawing. It was Frankfurt that drew with Freiburg at the weekend in a 3-3 draw. Crazy game, that one. And then, like I say, Saint-Gilloise, still top of the Belgian league at the moment, still playing some good stuff. I couldn't split them last week. I can't split them this week. I'm going 2-2 again. And I'm going to say that Frankfurt will win this in extra time or penalties. I think they've just got a little bit extra quality, but don't get me wrong, this could be another really entertaining game. That then brings us on to Ferencváros taking on Olympiacos. It was a 1-0 win for the home side last week. Is it going to be a 1-0 win for the home side this week? I don't really see it. I think Olympiacos are a better team than Ferencváros. And as with the previous fixture, where I've gone from the same result as last week, I'm going to go for the same result as last week once again by going for 1-0 to Olympiacos. That then brings us on to Legia Warsaw taking on Molde. It was a 3-2 win for Molde last time out. And again, when you look at the form of these teams, Molde off the back of this result then went and won at the weekend. Legia off the back of this result then drew at the weekend at home. So not a really good run of form for Legia at the moment. Molde are definitely the team in the ascendancy. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw on the night, which will be enough to see Molde progress. Again, I think in terms of the outright fixture itself, I think all 3 results are available within 90 minutes. But ultimately, at the end of the tie, I expect it to be Mulder that do end up progressing. I just think, like I say, could be a tight one this evening. I probably still have Mulder as favourites to win the match as well as the tie, but I'm just going to go for that 1-1 draw. And then finally, it is Slovan Bratislava taking on Sturm Graz in probably the most done fixture of the lot. I think it is the biggest margin of any games across Europa League and Europa Conference League this week. And Sturm Graz, I said, were going to be the stronger side going into this one. Anyway, last week, it proved to be the case. 4-1 was the result last week. I'm just going to go for a casual 2-1 tonight because, I mean, the game's basically already over. I don't think Slovan are really going to give it too much to resist. If they do, fair play to them. If they pull off the comeback, even more fair play to them. But I just think in the end, Sturm Graz don't need to put out too much effort tonight to eventually come away winners. Could mean that Slovan win if Sturm take it a little bit too casually, but I don't think they're going to overhaul a 3-goal deficit. So I'm still going to go for a Sturm Graz win on the night, which will, of course, see them progress. And that is going to be it for today's video. As always, thank you very much for watching. And as always, let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section below ahead of tonight's Europa League and Europa Conference League action. Thank you very much for watching once again. I will see you tomorrow for the next round of Premier League predictions.